Welcome to LollieTasking with ADHD. I am your host, Dr Lola, a multi-passionate mom of three, a physician, and an ADHD life coach because, like most of you amazing women listening, I have ADHD. Join me as we chat about how ADHD affects our lives and learn strategies to help us all thrive, not just survive, with ADHD so we can live the life we want while accomplishing all our goals. Let's get started. Hello, LollieTaskers. Again, I'm Dr Lola, a physician, a lifestyle strategist for all women, and an ADHD trained life coach. My goal is to help all women who have had their life or their brain sabotage their efforts learn how to show up in their full potential without being overwhelmed, sacrificing themselves or their loved ones so they can finally live a fulfilled life that they want. Okay? So, this episode is sponsored by LollieTasking. LollieTasking is our coaching and consulting company where we teach women how to create strategies, systems, because we know implementation is where transformation happens. We also not only show them how to do this, we show them how to implement their personalized strategies in a way that is doable, achievable, and maximize their limited time, increases their focus on what matters. Because you know what? In where we come from, stress is not our ministry. We work smart, not hard, and freedom of time is our ultimate flex. So, without further ado, I just want to give a special shout out to Ren, who sent me an IG message. She said she was a workaholic who put everything in her little book, and that helped her a lot. She also said that the suggestion of having booking a time off, a personal time off, first before planning was a lifesaver for her. It was amazing. So the first thing she did the weekend when she listened to that particular episode was she went ahead and blocked her time for herself first in her book, and she was so happy. And now she's working towards blocking time out for herself towards February. This is awesome. This is such a dopamine bump for me. It was just one of those days when our brain just keeps telling us that, you're not doing what you're supposed to be doing. And she actually reminded me to take my own advice when sometimes it seemed that, I can focus. Maybe I just need to rest. And I want you to think about that too. So if you have loved this podcast, I encourage you just like Ren, to go ahead and leave us a review, share with your friends so more people can talk about it. Reviews like this continues to help motivate me to make more episodes. It also help let the world know about this amazing podcast. And our goal is to get to 20,000 downloads by December. So if you're listening to this, go ahead and send this to 5 friends or post on your Facebook page or your IG or wherever it is that you're listening to. And I appreciate you for spreading the word about this podcast. Okay. So, I talked about how I'm going to talk about something I'm doing every time on the podcast. That way, you don't think I'm this perfect person. So, my failures today was I was supposed to be recording my podcast, and I technically do not check my email early in the morning for a reason, right? But there was a particular, I needed to actually get this review that I had saved in my inbox. So I went into my inbox and I was like, oh my gosh, I have not, I need to get this particular inbox to inbox zero. So guess what? I I was like, no, you have to work on your part. And there was this fight. And it occurred to me that um I just need to just spare the 30 minutes or an hour I needed to spare. And I went ahead and did that. Okay. So while this is a fail, it's also a win because it was something where I gave into my ADHD because I realized that my podcast, I could actually record it another time, but in me doing this inbox zero, it's actually going to help other things I needed to do during the day. So, yes, it was a fail because I did not follow my plan that I had for me, but it was a win because I also was able to redirect myself. So, That's why I tell you guys, whenever you have a plan doesn't mean you have to do it in that sequential. It just means you have to get to the destination that you're going to. So that was my fail for today. Instead of recording my podcast over an hour ago and be done with it, I was working on my inbox. So what am I going to do next time? That way I don't get caught in this trap. So next time what I'm going to do is to stick to my rule of trying not to open my inbox till at least 2 hours after I am done, or leave my inbox for that email block that I have, because it is important to look in your email, or in my email. For example, I get a lot of things that actually help me as well, so I don't want things falling through the crack. But having those times where I listen, oh, not listen, having those time where I actually like look at my inbox at a particular time is quite helpful for me. Okay, so um when people in my group of social media ask me um a question, I always try to listen to why they asked me the question. And a lot of times, some of those questions actually end up being podcast episodes. So that's like one of the questions today. Someone asked me the other day, how do I reconcile being a Christian and the fact that I have ADHD? They felt God was not good to them for giving them the cross to bear, like the ADHD cross to bear, as they were in the grief of their diagnosis. And I've talked about ADHD and grief. If you look at some prior episode, and I can't even remember offhand what episode that was right now, but I talk about how when you first come to your diagnosis of ADHD, everything makes sense. You're like, oh my gosh, that's why I do A, B, C, D, E, F, G. But then you're like, oh my gosh, but if I was diagnosed earlier, life could have been different. So we all go through this grief. And I encourage you to go through this grief and not try to push it down and actually confront it, you know? So, she is currently going through that grief, and I totally understood it. But her thought is like, okay, but God, why would you give this to me? And she was like, I know you're a woman of faith. Like, how has ADHD helped you? So before I actually go on, let me just put a disclaimer. Everybody knows I'm a Christian. This is a very, very Christian heavy podcast. And there might even be a little bit of preaching. I don't know yet. You guys know I have my key things, and I just kind of free flow when I do my podcast. So, but it is very Christian heavy. If you're not a Christian, however, I implore you to stay, because I personally believe biblical principles are truly life principles. And if you rather skip this episode, that's also okay. So I give you the freedom to listen if you want to, or to skip the episode if you feel like this does not align with you. Okay. So for me, my faith is actually one of the big reasons why I've been able to thrive with my ADHD. And I just feel like if I don't give you guys that little applesauce or secret sauce, if I may not be totally genuine with you guys, right? I feel like my Christian faith helps a lot of the mindset issues that a lot of people have with ADHD. And because I have my faith in God and I rely on my faith in God, there are things I have been able to overcome. Okay. If you have been following me, you already know that it is not a surprise that I talk about God, or I'm going to be talking about God, and I'm going to be talking about my Christianity. Again, like I said, it's my secret sauce. Not only has my faith helped me with my ADHD, it has also helped me to be a better coach for other people, because Christianity, true Christianity, let me put that in air quotes, is all about love. Okay, and when you coach people, you don't coach people in thinking negatively of them. You coach them in realizing that they have that power in themselves to be who they need to be. My job as a coach is just to help unveil that power they have in them, and I do it through love, through caring, right? And I think because of that, my coaching style is quite unique, and people tend to gravitate towards it. So, in today's episode, I want to chat about, there's been so many different, like, either allegories or Bible verses that have helped me, but I think just talking about three distinct ones that have helped me. And see if you guys resonate with it, and if it would also help you as well. So, Number one is this idea of purpose. A lot of Christians believe that God has brought us to this world for a purpose. So the verse that comes to mind is Proverbs 19:21, where it says, "Many are the plans in a person's heart, but it is the Lord's purpose that prevails." So a lot of times we have plans for certain things, but God has a purpose for our life. So me being Christian means that I have to trust that God knows what He's doing, and even when it does not make sense to me, God has created me for a reason. Also, I have a purpose. God has created me to serve a purpose. So if I have ADHD, He has given me this ADHD for a reason. He has a reason for everything it does. And as long as you're still living and breathing the same air that we are all living, you are serving the purpose God made you for. Okay? And just as He has given me purpose, I believe He has given you purpose. While I grieved about having my ADHD as well, I soon realized that if I did not have my ADHD, I actually wouldn't be the person I am today. I wouldn't have the intuition I have. I wouldn't have the strategies I have. I wouldn't have the creativity I have. I wouldn't have the ability to hyper focus on the things I love, right? I love all this part of my ADHD, but at the same time, I also have to learn on the other parts of my ADHD that affects my success journey, right? So a lot of times people are like, what is my purpose? Your purpose doesn't necessarily have to be this as to, whoa, my purpose is to like be the Dalai Lama or um Mother Teresa or anything, whatever, right? Your purpose could be as simple as my purpose is to be an amazing mother, right? And a lot of times we actually go through this world and we don't know what our purpose is, right? So the carpenter who creates the table knows what he wants to use a table for. It could be a banquet table or it could be a side table. God is the carpenter of our life. And sometimes, as human beings, it's really hard for us to grasp that we really do not have control of our life. And this is kind of like the humble, solemn aspect of the whole thing. But the more we realize that the true control over our life, and when I say control, like you have your control over your day to day, I'm talking about the purpose of our life, right? When we realize that God has the sole purpose, control of the purpose of our life, and in us letting go and letting God and doing our part and leaving the rest to God, life is so much easier, right? And you just have to believe that He loves you and He cares for you and He doesn't want any harm to befall you. So that's number one. Number one is my mindset that God has a purpose for me. Number two is the power of the word. So, and the verse that comes to mind in this is Proverbs 18:21. Death and life are in the power of the tongue, and they that love it shall eat the fruit thereof, right? So if you love the word and you say positivity, you're going to bring positive fruits. But if you are negative with your tongue, guess what? You are going to bring negative fruit. And this is so huge for people with ADHD because our default is in negativity. This is just point blank, period, fact. We always think about all the things we haven't done. It's so funny. There was a day I was talking about, oh, I always lose this, I always lose it. But you are a whole blah, 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 fill in the blank, right? But we never think about all the positives we have done. We always tend to go towards the negative. And because we go towards the negative, we use our mouth, unfortunately, to confess negativity. It's quite interesting. I think I've said this before. My family is Yoruba. I'm Yoruba, which is a tribe in southwestern Nigeria. And we actually truly believe in this power of the tongue. We do not say anything negative because we believe if you say negative, you are putting a stamp of approval on it, right? So I tell people all the time, everything is created twice. You also have a good mindset to be able to have a positive mindset and to be able to, I mean, You have to have a positive mindset to be able to have a positive way of your words. Your thoughts feel feed your words. So with each word you are creating um positivity, you are rewiring your brain for positivity. So if you say, "Oh, I never get anything done," guess what? You're never going to get anything done. But if you say, "I always I while I have not gotten things done in the past, I am striving to get things done," or "I will get this done." Like just using more positive word. Um, and discussing what's going on with you. So if you continue to speak negativity, guess what? You continue to reinforce negativity, and guess what? We rewire our brain into negativity, which basically continues to lead into negative words and then continues to lead into negative actions. But if we start speaking positivity, we also rewire our brain into positive track, which then continues to lead into positive words and then continue to lead into positive actions. So next time you have a negative thought, think, why do I have this negative thought? Be curious about it. Is there some truth to it? You may start to realize that there are some lies that we have turned into facts and they are actually lies. And when you realize that they're not truth, then you can actually turn them into truth. Because a lot of this negative thoughts are basically due to negative beliefs that we've had in ourselves or negative beliefs that other people have had in us in the past. So it is time to start rewiring our brain for positivity. So even if you don't get something done, it doesn't mean you're a bad person. It just means, okay, I didn't get it done. But why didn't I get it done? Being curious of the why is so important. And our next episode is going to talk about the power of the why. Okay. The third thing that's helped me is being a good steward of what God gave me. So most Christians will tell you that one of the big tenets of Christianity is stewardship. And a lot of times we talk about stewardship of your talent, and stewardship of money, and stewardship of relationship. The one that we don't talk a lot about is stewardship of time. Okay. So there's this one quote by John MacArthur which says all Christians are but God's stewards. Everything we have is on loan from the Lord, entrusted to us for a while, for us, or to us for a while to use in serving Him. Okay? And that is legit. When you say that, your time is limited, you realize that, okay, maybe I need to do better. Okay? And in you doing better, another scripture that actually comes to mind is Luke 14:28-30, which say, suppose one of you wants to build a tower, won't you first sit down and estimate the cost to see if you have enough money to complete it? For if you lay the foundation and are not able to finish it, everyone who sees it will ridicule you, saying the person began to build and wasn't able to finish. So, same thing, just substitute money with time. Suppose one of you wants to build a tower. Suppose one of you wants to do a project. Wouldn't you first sit down and estimate the time to see if you have enough time to complete it? For if you lay the foundation, excuse me, you're not able to finish it, everyone will say they're ridicule you, right? So let's even delete that one. But it's basically saying you need a foundation of time. That right there is talking about planning. It's talking about budgets. God wants us to be fruitful and multiply in both our life, but also in projects we do. God wants us to bring our project to fruition. But in order to bring our project to fruition, we definitely need to be good stewards of our time. So the question I want to ask you is, how are you being a good steward of the limited time you have? Unlike money, time is actually not forgiving because once you lose your time, it can never be reclaimed, and you can never get more of it. The time you've lost is the time you've lost. And actually, I would say time is the greatest equalizer. We all have the same 24 hours in a day. So, this is why my goal is to help you maximize your time. You have to be a good steward of your time. So, if you really want to learn how to do this, you could reach out to me, send me a DM that says ready, and we can talk more about it. Okay? So, again, this is just another short episode, and I really, really implore you. I've put a lot of quotes and scriptures in there to just think through things like, okay, um, there's a reason why I am who I am. Why am I so negative? Do I need to change my words into positivity? And how am I being a good steward of my time? Those are the three main things we discussed today. So, after listening to this episode, like always, I want you to think, if I could just work on one thing out of all the things Dr. Lola spoke about today, what is the one thing I'm going to work on? Not only think about it, write it down and create a plan for it. Okay? And that's it for another episode of LollieTasking. I hope you have an amazing and intentional week ahead. If you are ready to do something about your ADHD and want to start maximizing your time, or want to learn how coaching can help your ADHD, go to Accomplish with Ease, which is rawe.lollietasking.com/ADHD coach. That's where you can also join our coaching membership and become a goal slayer. Join the goal slayers. With ADHD, you can learn to live in spite of your ADHD. Oh, I mean, which are our program, you can learn to live in spite of our ADHD. So again, don't forget to follow us on IG and don't forget to leave us a review. You may just get a shout out just like we did on Ren today. If you want to talk more extensively, join our Facebook group to continue the conversation, which is Women with ADHD Professional Entrepreneurs. All links will be down in the show notes, okay? So, till next time, remember, you can do it too with some planning, a little bit of balance, and a dash of determination. Thanks for hanging out with us on another episode of LollieTasking with ADHD. If you like what you've heard today, I would love for you to click the subscribe button, rate, and leave a great review, in addition to sharing with your friends. Your review allows visibility and also allows other amazing women to find this podcast. Also, if you have any questions or topics you would like for us to discuss, please contact me via direct message on Instagram at LollieTasker or email us at hello@LollieTasking.com. Till next time, this is LollieTasking with ADHD.